welcome to this episode of the AskBonBon Show, real conversations that matter most, where we bring you the people and the tools to create the life that you love. I am your host, Bonnie Bruder, and today we are doing a very important show. We are going to be talking about something that affects so many hundreds of thousands of women around the world every single year, and that is breast cancer. A couple of years ago, around Christmas time, I had a really big scare. And it was something that I didn't have experience with in my life. And I had just gone to the doctor. As some of you have heard me share some of the medical dramas I've been through before, I definitely have had my share of doctor's appointments and surgeries with fibroids. And so I was doing a regular checkup. And on the way out, they said, "Oh, since you're here, do you want to just do a mammogram?" It was literally like I was at McDonald's and they're like, "Hey, do you want fries with that?" So I did the mammogram and I just thought, "Oh, isn't that responsible of me?" And I went on my merry way. And then 2 days later, I got a call that they had some questionable results and I needed to come back and do some more. And so I was truly terrified. I was at work, I had to leave, I was crying. I just didn't expect this to happen to me, to my life, which is probably how everybody that goes through that feels. And so I honestly can say the next 2 weeks were some of the worst of my life. I literally, thought the worst. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what to do. I ended up having more tests and a biopsy, and thankfully it came back and it wasn't cancer. But a lot of people don't have that experience. And I know those 2 weeks, I cried. They had to bring in nurses and doctors, and I'm not that person. I'm a very strong woman. And so through that, it made me realize how many people this truly affects. And in the couple of years since, I have had the opportunity to meet some truly incredible women that not only are warriors and survivors, but they have gone on and created missions and created ways to inspire other women to get through this experience. So today I'm going to introduce you to two incredible New York women that fit into that category. The first is the warrior Shirin Tanati. Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Thank you so much for being here. Well, I know that you have had obviously a very interesting journey.
Yeah.
Can you tell the viewers, what your experience was and what happened?
Sure. First, let me say that there's no cancer in my family. I don't come from an ethnic background that has a predominant population of cancer, and also lifestyle. I'm a triathlete, non-smoker, barely drink, all of that. So on June 11th, 2013, I felt this bump out of nowhere. And it was about a soft-boiled egg, hard-boiled egg-shaped feeling thing right over here. And I thought it was a cyst, because you hear of cancer, it's small, irregular, it takes a long time.
Sure.
So on the 13th, I had a mammogram. The doctor walked in and he said, "You need an urgent core biopsy." Friday the 15th, I believe, I had the biopsy, and he walked in. He said, "We're rushing the results for Monday, but I'm telling you now, I know what it is. It's a bad one." So he immediately talked to me about surgery and chemo. He said, "You're going to need it."
Wow.
And usually they don't do that. They wait to have the test results, and
Sure.
Yeah.
Amazing. So
Yes.
it's something shocking. You're going through your week, and then all of a sudden, wow.
Yeah.
So how did it feel to get that information and all of a sudden your life has changed in a moment?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, the sky is now under your feet. The ground is up above your head. You just have no sense of direction anymore. And I remember when I got the call, my knees actually buckled.
Wow.
I was just grabbing to see what was what. It was just this horrible state of confusion. I always, whenever something goes wrong, I give myself a chunk of time to break down. So I gave myself 2 days. I said, "You can freak out for 2 days. Then you have to figure out what your next step is." So freaked out for 2 days, cried, did whatever I wanted, ate whatever I wanted, and then got up and said, "Okay, what are you going to do now?" And, that's how it all started.
So what did you do next?
A lot of appointments with surgeons, to try to figure out what the next step was. And it was really frustrating because for 3 weeks, it was all about figuring it out. And you just felt there's this thing inside of you that's slowly killing you, and you're not doing anything about it. So finally, I found a surgeon, and we came up with a game plan. And, it was a very aggressive cancer. It was triple negative. We're guessing stage 3. We can't know for sure because I had chemo first. Usually they do definite staging during surgery, but
Okay.
so yeah.
Wow. And so, I mean, this is going to sound like a silly question, but how was that experience for you? I mean, what was it like going through that and having to now accept that this is what's going on and everything has changed? Like you said, up is down and left is right.
Yeah, exactly. It was, you hear the out-of-body experience. I didn't know what that was like until this happened. It's like I was watching this movie of this girl just going from one emotion to the next, going from seeing a surgeon and talking about having her breasts cut off potentially to, reading an article about how chemo can kill you. And it just, and having great supportive friends and laughing 1 minute and the next minute you're on the ground crying,
Wow. Incredible.
Yeah.
So you've obviously
yes,
done well. You're gorgeous.
Thank you.
And so can you just tell us, since what has changed in your life and what have you been able to create?
Well, I have, I always thought of myself as someone with a sense of direction. And now after this, I'm like, oh, I had no idea what I was doing then. And now I truly have a sense of direction. It doesn't make your life come together. It makes you realize that if you don't get your life together, you're an idiot. So you still have to do all the work. So many people think, oh, once you survive cancer, everything is clear and beautiful. Well, it shows you that if you don't take the steps to make it clear and beautiful, you're an idiot because you just potentially almost died. So that's the main thing that changed. I don't allow myself to make excuses for myself anymore.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So that's the...
Yeah, you obviously are someone that takes life by the horns. I mean, if you gave yourself 2 days, I think I would need a good 2 weeks to just cry, get through a tub of Ben & Jerry's a day, a couple Netflix shows, and then figure it out. But that's pretty amazing. And so I know that you now share kind of this message and you've created a book.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about your book?
Yes, it's called I Am Warrior, and it shows women during treatment, not survivors, but what I call the warrior phase when you're actually in battle, depicted as historical, literary, and mythological warriors throughout history.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how did you get this idea?
Well, I was at a surgeon office, not the surgeon I decided to go with, but my sister and I were sitting in the waiting room freaking out. And my sister, she's like my mother, so it's like her baby is sick. So she's freaking out, I'm freaking out. And she sees a photo book on the coffee table. She goes, oh, let's look through this. It'll take our minds off of things. And we were flipping through this book, and it was of women who had undergone mastectomies, and which is fine. The subject matter is fine. But the photographer had made artistic choices that made the women look defeated. He had done effects to the photos that looked gritty and edgy. And it was more, the impression I got was these women were exploited to make this photographer seem very cool and, look at what I was able to photograph. And my sister started crying. I literally got physically ill. And so my sister, she slammed the book shut, shoved it under the couch so other people wouldn't see it. She's like, no, this can't,
I love her.
Yeah, she's awesome. She should have her own talk show. She's great. So, and it was about a month or so later, I was sitting in my chemo chair and completely out of it. And I turned to my sister and I said, I have to do the book. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I said, I have to make the book that would have comforted us that day. And that is the purpose of this book. It's not about showing, look how brave I am. I'm going to show you my scars. And because those images, as brave as they are to the non-cancer community, they scare the bleep out of us who are going through it.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, what did I need that day? I need to show empowering images of what I'm about to go through, not 2 years after when I've survived this. Because the truth is, we don't always survive. And everybody celebrates the survivor. And this woman told me, she goes, oh, honey, don't worry. Next year we'll celebrate welcoming you into the Sisterhood of Warriors. And I said, okay, thank you. But what if I don't survive? Which is a reality. What if I don't survive? I don't get celebrated?
Right.
And, looking back on my life now, and I'm sure I'll say this when I'm 90, I'm very proud of being a soldier in battle. It's what I'm most proud of in my life, is how I fought. Not just that I fought, but how I fought. So, and this celebrates that time in a woman's life. You know, it's as horrifying as you can imagine it is. But the beautiful thing about it is we are so much stronger than we think we are. We have, you know, because you look at these women before you go through it, like you see Robin Roberts, who's such an inspiration, and Christina Applegate, who's one of my favorites, the way she dealt with this. And you're like, oh my God, they're so special and strong. It's because they're special and strong. I could never do that. And then it happens to you and you realize, oh my God, we're not that special, which is actually a great thing. Because when you say that you're special, you're basically saying that other people aren't. You know what I mean? And when you realize, oh, none of us are really special. This is what being a woman is. This is what we're made of. And I'm not better than you. And if I could do, if Robin Roberts could do it, I could do it.
Right.
You know, we're all that amazing.
It's interesting that you say that. So we do, you know, these shows with some really incredible people. And a few weeks ago, we had on this incredible man, Giles Dooley, who's a triple amputee.
Wow.
And, you know, obviously same thing. You wake up one day in the hospital and that wasn't what you planned.
Yeah.
And you have to make a decision of this is my life now and going on. And a lot of similar thoughts, you know, he expressed to what you're saying today is just like, this is what is. And it's not glamorous, it's not beautiful, but this is my life. And he actually said that he's happier now than he was previously just because he didn't know. You know, he's learned through the process. Wasn't easy getting there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, and now, like you, goes on and creates great work in the world. So, wow. Okay, so what's next? Where can people find your book if they're watching?
Well, we just finished doing the book, and we are now hunting for publishers. So, and if we don't get a publisher by the end of April, then we're going to self-publish. So hopefully, one way or another, it'll be out this summer.
Okay.
And, you know, you could visit my website, shirintanati.com, and all the info will be there, whether it's going to be on Amazon, at bookstores, or we're going to sell it ourselves.
Fantastic.
And we'll definitely share it with you so you can put it out there.
We'll have you back,
yes.
and we'll do a reading, you know, like you do when you're a kid. We'll read to the audience. So what's your big vision now? So what, you know, you've gone through this experience. You're already an incredibly talented photographer. You've got this amazing business.
Thank you.
You did my headshot, so I have to say.
Well, had a beautiful subject, so
it
wasn't a hard day at work that day.
And, you know, and the reason I asked, so I research all of the guests that we have on the show, and so I knew your story because when I came to do my headshots, you really make an experience. You have, you know, we sat down for hours. I didn't even want to do the photos anymore. I did, but I was having so much fun having coffee and learning about you and Grace and, you know, your kitty and everything. But so you have this business, and then I started researching you, and I knew your story from that day, and then I watched your video that you made a few days, I think, after being diagnosed, and, you know, just your strength came through then, and now, fast forward, you've come through the experience, you are a warrior, and you've created this movement. So what is your vision? What is your kind of magic wand that you want to create with this movement?
Wow, I would like for all the women who I can somehow reach to realize that so little in our lives is about us, that we owe it to one another to make better choices, to be strong, and to share ourselves. Because I learned that having to be strong for the women I respect in my life made me strong for me. If I had sat and made it all about me, it wouldn't have worked as well. So just realizing how small we are and significant, small yet significant, and keeping it about all the women around us.
Wow.
It'll somehow, you know, be quite grand.
Very true.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
My
so
pleasure.
much.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for your journey and for sharing it in
Thank
the
you.
gracious way that you have. We really appreciate
My
it.
pleasure.
So we will be right back with another amazing New York warrior, and we will see you soon. Welcome back, everybody. We are going to introduce you to another incredible breast cancer survivor. This woman is somebody that I have known over the years, back through my Christopher Howard days when I used to do production. And she was always there with a smile, working on crew, helping out, running around. Just someone that would always give more than asked and do whatever needed to be done to make things happen. And so recently, in researching the segment for this show, we were reconnected via Facebook, and I learned about her incredible journey and her incredible story. And so today, she is here to share that with you. As you know, we talked about earlier in this episode, that every single year, hundreds of thousands of women are diagnosed with breast cancer. And so it really is something that impacts so many people. And that's why we had to do a show on this and introduce you to some incredible people. So I would love everybody to meet Raquel, otherwise known as Wisdom.
Hi, Bunny. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. It's so good to see your smile again.
Oh.
So I was just so sad to hear what happened to you, but then also in talking to you and listening to your story, just so proud to know what you have created in your world. So can you tell the viewers just a little bit about your story and what happened?
Well, it started in 2009 when I felt a lump in my right breast. And I kind of let it pass, you know, because I could not believe that it was breast cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And by 2010 June, it had grown a little bit, so I went to the doctor, and sure enough, breast cancer. Doesn't have it in my family, doesn't have that BRCA gene that they look for. So as usual, I'm always the pioneer for things. So there you go. And I had chemo and for several months, and it disappeared. So yay. Then in November 2011, it came back with a vengeance.
Wow.
And didn't go through chemo again, but was just being checked by the doctor. 2013, it showed up in the left breast, doing treatment again, and then last November, I decided to get surgery because now it's just like really needed. So now I'm flat and fabulous. And I've decided to stay flat and fabulous because it's just too much to go through the surgery. And just the recovery process, so it's what, 4 months, little over 4 months, I'm still going through recovery. And honestly, I really don't see the need to put on boobs again, so I'm just fine.
Wow.
And, you know, just...
Wow,
So
and that smile. And then, I mean, I give you so much credit. You're saying, oh, you were a little depressed. I'm a little depressed when I open the curtains and it's gray out again. So, I mean, I can't imagine going through, you know, not only once or twice, but 3 or 4 times of having to fight through that.
See, my faith, I have a strong belief in God, and my faith has kept me over the years. There were days, I'm not going to say it was peachy king the whole time, but there were days when I just felt like, you know what, I'm done.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when I was going through chemo, it kills you. I mean, it kills every cell in the body. But it's just, I said, you know, I have to go through, and there must be a reason for me to be having this. And it turns out that now I'm an inspiration to others.
Yes, you are.
And it inspires me to keep going when other people go, oh, you're such an inspiration. And even if they're not going through cancer, they're going through other things, and they go, just by seeing your smile and the motivational stuff you say, I decide to do something. So that keeps me going.
Yes. You do have one of those smiles. When you initially reached out on Facebook, you're explaining who you are. Of course I remember you, but then I click on and you just see this big smile, and it's one that makes you smile. It's like a yawn, you know, when someone yawns. And so immediately I'm at my desk. But it's incredible to me that you do have still this smile on your face and that you are inspiring others. And tell us a little bit about, so you have a company, you're a chef. It's called Raw Done Tastefully?
Yes.
Tell us about that. That sounds delicious.
So, you know, before I got into it, I used to think that, oh, that can't taste good, and, you know, and so that's how come I came up with the name Raw Done Tastefully, because like when people hear raw, they think, oh, it's rabbit food, it's just lettuce, it's just greens. And so I decided tastefully. And so I teach classes, I teach people how to make stuff. I mentor people who want to change their lifestyle, people who are healthy and living healthy who want to continue. I have different programs. And so I still do it. And I still say, look, if I wasn't doing the healthy stuff, I probably wouldn't be here today, because the doctors always say to me, you know, you're pretty healthy, except for this one thing.
Yes.
So,
well, that's
I
one
know, right?
thing. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's like a hangnail, okay? You know, but no, that's a pretty big thing.
Exactly.
But it is great to hear that you can have a mindset that it can be one thing. It can be one piece of your life, and that you still can go on and you can push through those days where you do feel, you know, because we all question that, right? We all have struggles. We all have challenges. I know, you know, I've been an executive and life coach for 2 decades now, and that's all I do all day long is listen to people's challenges. And from billionaires to, you know, poverty-stricken people, it doesn't, a problem's a problem. And some are bigger, some are smaller, but, you know, we all have those days when you feel like, I'm done. This is just too much. So it's so great to see that you have smiled your way through it, that you are now, you know, enticing other people to be healthy through raw food and a healthy diet. And I know that you've created also a university to share your message. Tell us, what's that all about?
Well, I figured because I'm going through this, like I said earlier, there must be a reason.
Yes.
And there are also other people out there who feel so depressed just by hearing the word cancer. People don't want to hear the word, they go the big C and so nervous. And I want people to know it's not the end of your life. It's not a death sentence. You can still live and conquer. So I created the Breast Cancer Survival Academy, where I have monthly calls. People can ask their questions and I answer, and I just tell my journey. Wow. I also have a Facebook page, Passing Through Breast Cancer Land, where I tell everything that's going on with me on a daily basis. I post my ups and my downs. As a matter of fact, recently I was feeling down because I went to the doctor, and whatever they did, it had some effects when I got home. And I was just like, I'm so done. You know, I am tired, you know, and then people started inspiring me, oh, keep going, you're such a fighter. So it goes both ways.
Yes.
It definitely does.
It's so great that you say that, because that is one thing that I find when you're open and you're willing to just put it all out there and share your struggles. You know, that's one thing that I do with the show and just in life in general. You know, people say, oh, it looks so great. I'm like, let me tell you what. let me tell you about my morning. Let me tell you about what really happened, or, you know, how I got here, or all of these things. But I find when people are open like that, then it allows others to connect with you and to be open and to attach to, you know, supporting each other. So it's great that you're getting that experience. I know I say that sometimes. I have actually this amazing client that I work with twice a week as a coaching client, and she's also a survivor and a warrior, and she's a single mom. And so her, you know, when I listen to her story and just this fear of what if it comes back and I have this child that I'm responsible for. And so I often joke with her, I say, Colleen, I need to pay you after the session because you are firing me up so much just watching, you know, what she's created in the world. And so I don't know if there's a common thread. It just seems like all these amazing women that have been through breast cancer have gone out and created these amazing missions and inspire others. For
me, because others always say, you're always smiling. How can you smile through that? And I always say, well, if I don't smile, I'm going to be crying all day.
Right.
So smile is the better option.
Yes.
And when you're smiling and laughing, you can't cry at the same time.
Yes. True.
And that's why, you know, well, I like bright colors anyway.
Yes.
But I wear bright because it helps me feel better and, you know, just keep smiling. I listen to uplifting music and books and so on. And so, as I was saying about the page earlier, I feel like as I inspire others, it keeps me going.
Yes.
Right? And on days when I feel like I don't want to get up out of the bed, I don't want to do anything, I remember that there are people out there waiting for me to write something and say something, and it keeps me going.
That's so amazing. So I don't know what it feels like to have cancer, but I definitely had a lot of struggles for years. I had horrendous fibroids, and I had many surgeries, and just, you know, the depressing, went through the infertility diagnosis, and I know what it feels like to lay on your kitchen floor and bawl your eyes out and just feel like, I'm done. I don't care. I'm not doing this anymore. Mm-hmm. And for me, I inherited a dog during that period of time, Ginger, who is, literally saved my life, I always say. But it's so funny because I feel like it's another purpose. It's something outside of you. And so she's my inspiration, you know, on a daily basis to do more, because I remember she's the one licking my tears off when I'm doing that. Like, okay, Mom, are you going to stop crying so we can go to the park? And so it's so nice to have in life any support and any of those things, you know, where you know someone outside of you is depending on you to inspire them or walk them or, you know, something. And I feel like you get so much joy out of life that way. So thank you for sharing your message. Now, if a viewer is watching and they have either themselves or a family member that is affected with breast cancer, how can they find your online university?
Okay, well, the easiest thing is Facebook, and you don't have to be on Facebook to get to the page.
Okay.
Just facebook.com/passingthroughbreastcancerline.com. They can also email me.
Okay.
At info@rawdontastefully.com. So info@rawdontastefully.com.
Raw Done Tastefully. That sounds so delicious. I'm going to be emailing in some orders.
And I'll be happy to talk to anybody.
Good.
Yeah, because I know people, when they get the diagnosis, they just feel like they're alone, and you're not alone. There's so many other people going through the same thing. Like even with not having the reconstruction, I found another group on Facebook. That's it, Fit and Fabulous.
Wow.
And it's so amazing because I see all the stuff that they're going through that I thought sometimes you think you're crazy because you're going through so many things and feeling so many things. There's no way, feel like you're making it up.
Right.
And other people who are not going through it don't understand. Some laugh like, oh no, there's no way you could be feeling that. And then to see other ladies writing it, it just said, yes, you're not alone. So
wow, amazing.
I'm here for everyone who wants to contact me and hear my story and get some motivation.
So what is your big vision? We always like to ask our guests. Now you've had this experience and you've created something magnificent from it, both in the raw food movement, but then also supporting other women going through it. What's your big vision of where you want to take this?
Worldwide, global, to just be in front of millions of women. And as a matter of fact, not just women, because there's a percentage of men who do have breast cancer as well. So we usually don't mention them, but they're men as well. But my big vision is to educate women and men on life after diagnosis. You can be a survivor while you're going through treatment. You can be a survivor after treatment, you know, and just as you're being diagnosed, it's not the end of the world.
Fantastic.
It's not the end of the world.
Amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sharing your gifts to the world. And I look forward to hearing more about your journey and taking it global. I'll definitely get on that page because I know we have a lot of people that, you know, write in and want resources. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Of
and
course.
It's great reconnecting again.
Yes. Now we'll stay connected, fellow New Yorkers. Yes. Good. Well, thank you everybody for being here and watching this important episode of the Ask Bonbon Show, where we introduce you to the people and the tools to create the life that you love. We'll see you next time.